Okay, so I spend a lot of time thinking about plants and gardening, and I also happen to love spreadsheets and containers. Also, I love coffee. So let's use this caffeinated energy for good and plant our gardens. Come on, dude, let's grow. So if we haven't met yet, hi, I'm Katie. I grow in Kansas Zone 6B, and today I just wanted to talk about how I plan my garden in case it helps you plan your garden. Specifically, how I store and organize my seeds, as well as how I decide what to grow, when to grow, and where to grow it. So a common occurrence in gardeners is a huge seed stash. It's what we do. It's in our blood. But now we need a place to store our treasures. There's many ways to do this. You can use freezer bags, shoe boxes, Tupperware containers, those binders that people use for baseball cards, but also these photo boxes are becoming pretty popular. I personally started my own seed stash in a teeny tiny little box, graduated up to two big shoe boxes, but I found that they got pretty messy. The seed packets slid all over everywhere, seeds would spill out in the box. So I finally broke down and got these two photo box containers. They were just online at Amazon. Couldn't tell you how much they were, but it wasn't very expensive. I have one for veggies and one for flowers. So my containers are organized by alphabetical order. They just go all the way back here, ends at Z's. I don't label my containers. I used to. I used this painter's tape. I don't know if you can read that, but it says peppers. I used to have these all labeled, but you can see they peel off. I got tired of smishing them back down. I'm kind of lazy, so I stopped labeling them. The peppers label has held on the longest, so it's still there. I just know that the ABs are here. These are C's, D's. If I ever forget, I just look at the first letter of the box and I know what's in it. Some people will use these to organize their seeds in the weeks to their last frost date. So if you had, for example, tomatoes, and it says on the back of the packet to start your seeds indoors 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost. You would take all your seeds that say the same thing, 6 to 8 weeks, and you'd put them all in a container together. So you knew when you were 6 weeks or 8 weeks out from your last frost date, you would grab this container, and those would be the seeds you want to start. I used to do this. I actually would put them in separate sandwich bags. It kind of got annoying. I found that occasionally I would want to read a seed packet. I'd say, oh, Roma tomatoes, I want to look at the back and get the information. Also, at the end of the season, I was taking them all out of the containers and putting them all back in alphabetical order because that makes it easier to obsess over them in the wintertime. Anyways, I just got to where I decided leaving them in alphabetical order was the best thing for me. But you do you. So you could also use a paper notebook, or a dedicated garden planner. I just happen to really like spreadsheets. My spreadsheets bring them up into my yard. Okay, to start off the spreadsheet nerddom, I start out with just a quick list. Here is, just so you see, this is my container count. So the veggies in order, remember I said A to B, there's some C's. I have a total of 239 seed packets. Yeah. Okay, so anyways, my grow list. So down here, this is what we just talk about at the beginning of the season, which vegetables we want to grow, what cut flowers I'm trying to grow, the herbs we want to grow. Remember I said I wanted to start a good herb garden. Filler flowers for bouquets, and any kind of maybe landscaping flowers. And don't let the colors kind of scare you. It's just down here. The green ones are ones I know I need to start indoors. The yellow ones are ones I need to direct sow, and the orange ones are ones that can be direct sown, but I might decide to start them indoors, just depending on how the season's going. And it's important to kind of have at least a rough idea of what season these plants grow in. So like beans, I know they are a summer loving crop. Cantaloupe's the same. Got my peppers and tomatoes is the same. Peas I know like cool weather. Onions pop up in the spring. So it's good to just kind of have a rough idea of what season these plants are going to grow in. And of course, since I'm me, I like to color code. Also, you'll notice this lighter color of pink. These are the ones I have designated some pots to, and I just thought this would help me kind of keep track of that. Okay, and then we move on to the individual spreadsheets for one for veggies, one for flowers. For my veggies, I take all the information on the seed packet and I log it here. So all this information you see on these fields are information I get from either the seed packet or just researching on the internet. And it goes back this way. So I got my ideal germination temp, the days to germination, how many days till maturity, planting depth, etc. I even log where I got the seed from. And again, the colors coincide with the season that I expect them to grow in, the blue being the cool weather and the pink being the warm weather. Each year, usually in the winter, I go through these, and after I have done my grow list, I go through all the varieties that I have in my photo box container and I gray out anything we're not growing. So this year we're not going to grow asparagus, we're not going to grow this particular kind of basil, etc. So I just know if they're grayed out, I ignore them. Going through this count column each December helps me know if I need to get more. Okay, my next step is to create what I call a countdown list. But first, it is important to know your average last frost date. So go to the Farmer's Almanac website. For me, I'm in Kansas Zone 6B. So I type in my zip code into their information or into their website, and it tells me my average last spring frost is April 22nd. My average first fall frost is October 18th, which gives me a rough growing season of 179 days. I also wanted to point out that on their website, they tell you this information comes with a 30% accuracy. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't bet much on 30% accuracy. So I just wanted to point that out because these dates are guidelines. They are not hard and fast. Okay, first thing you will notice is my average last frost date is April 21st, which falls in right here. However, I know from experience that I really shouldn't mess with planting out any warm weather plants until May 1st. Also, my grandpa, who has farmed all his life, told us never to plant any warm loving plants prior to May 1st. So you gotta listen to grandpa. So I modify my information based on wanting to plant my warm loving plants out on anywhere that falls into May 1st. So I have a column for the weeks left until my target plant date, the number of the year the week is, and then I have my Sunday through Saturday dates. So then I have a slightly modified schedule for my cool weather plants. You can see here's my target date for planting out my warm weather crops, but cool weather loving crops, I bump back about a month. Again, this is not hard and fast. All this is made up. So take what I say with a grain of salt. So same columns, just a slightly different target plant date. And as the weeks pass, I gray them out, and it looks like today is the 25th, so I can gray out this one because it is over. So now I know I am in this week. So any seeds that need to be started during this week, I need to pay attention. And how I do that is back here on the, let's just pick on the veggies. I have two columns here, seed start date, the week of, and if it's direct sown, I would direct sow at this date, or I would transplant out the seedlings that I started this date. You can see here for artichokes, the seed packet said 8 to 12 weeks. So, and I have it labeled as a cool loving plant. So if I go to my countdown on my cool weather, 8 to 12 weeks, here's the range. That's quite a range. Usually they're only 2 weeks, but so what I did was went with the middle, 10 weeks. So the start date for seeds would be January 25th. So I plug that in here, knowing that my plant out date would be April 5th. And we can do one of these together. I had pumpkins that I hadn't done yet. Yes, I just added this. Okay, so this is a warm loving crop. And it tells us, the seed packet tells us 2 to 3 weeks before last frost. So I will go to my countdown, my warm weather crops. 2 to 3 weeks is this range right here. And I typically go with the larger number because I get really impatient and want to start all the seeds way before they should be started. So I would pick the 3 weeks before my target plant date. The Sunday is April 12th. So I'll go back here under pumpkin. I will put April 12th. And my target plant date is that week of the first week of May. So then each week, at the beginning of a week, like today is January 25th, I will come in here and I will filter on my column J to see what I need to start this week. So I've got January 25th, and it tells me everything I have assigned myself the 25th of January to start are my artichoke, celery, leeks, and onions. And you'll notice they're all cool, loving crops. Let's see, what would be next? Looks like I have nothing planned for February, but in March, the first week of March, I would come in here and I would know I need to start broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, and chives. And as we get further into the year, here's everything for April 12th. You'll notice we've switched to the warm loving crops, cucumbers, pumpkins, zucchinis. So like I said, each week I filter what I have planned. I would pull these 4 seeds out of my seed container, which is easy because they're alphabetical order, and I would get them started. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you how I decide where to plant my plants. This is my yard. Kind of. All right, so this back here, this is the very back of my yard. Up here is my hill. I don't know if you've seen any of my videos, but we have a huge hill. This is what I call the ground garden. We have a trellis right here. This is the walkway between the trellis. This is a big open area in my ground garden that I've got planned. These are steps that go up my hill. This is a tree with a little bed around it that was here when we moved in. So this is just landscaping. If you scroll down here, this area right here is actually my future plans. It does not exist yet, but we have plans to add 6 more garden beds. And right here will be my little trellis. Oh, I cannot wait. My kids have always used the backyard to play, soccer, baseball, running, whatever. They're all like super cool old teenagers now. So they don't really use the backyard. So I have staked it as mine, and we're going to add garden beds. It just hasn't happened yet. This right here is a big flower bed that I will eventually turn into completely perennials. We've been working on that. I got some lavender, yarrow, orangium in there. This little area over here, clear on the south side of my house, is where we planted the daffodils together. If you scroll over here, this is my pathetic attempt at showing you where my driveway is. Obviously, this is not to scale. I will not win any kind of architecture awards with this. It just helps me visualize where my growing areas are and what I can and can't do with them. So over here, I know I have a 4x10 wooden garden bed that actually has my garlic in it right now. So this is what I'm doing with these garden beds for spring. We have bed 1, bed 2, and remember, it's broken, it needs fixed. This one needs fixed as well. You go down the driveway, there's our asparagus bed. And then I have a plan for, these are the same garden beds, but this will be for fall. I don't have any plans for that one quite yet, but I'm thinking bed 2 will have the corn and bush beans in it. Obviously, these plans can change daily, hourly, minutely, just on the whim of my brain at the time. Also, over here, I keep track of the pots that we have. We have a lot of these. We have plastic pots. We have the black bag pots. We have 18-inch pots. We also have these huge tubs, the lick tubs, I think it is, for animals. My Uncle Jim gave us several of them from his farm, and so we call them Jim tubs. You probably hear me refer to them a lot as Jim tubs. But this just gives me, you know, we have, what is that, 10, 11, 13. We have 13 of them, so I can plan what I want to put in the Jim tubs and all the other bags and pots and blah. So as an example, I am planning, of course, it could change, but I'm planning right now in the daffodil area. Once those have come up and been harvested, I am planning on putting some pumpkins in the daffodil patch. So I will go back to my veggies and find my pumpkins. And right here, I guess I could just put daff patch. I also know my onions are going to be in bed number 2, at least for now. So same thing, once I figure out what area they're going to go into, I can filter on the area. So if I want to know what's going in the daff patch, oh look, it's just pumpkins. Or if I want to know everything I'm planning on putting in bed 2, it will tell me. This is the part that gets pretty humbling, and I usually have to end up becoming more realistic with my plans, because my available growing space never is enough for my big dreams and plans and visions. So a lot of times I will have this huge list that I want to grow, and then when I go to apply it to the available space, I have to make some hard decisions. That's the part I'm at right now. I need to go through and finish figuring out where everything is going to go. Can you hear that? My gosh, my kids are home today. Of course, because it's Sunday, and they sound like elephants. So I hope this helps you have an idea of maybe how to tame the chaos that is gardening. But just remember, no matter how much planning and thinking we do, Mother Nature is in charge, so anything can happen. So I have a little more planning and cutting to do. And then next up, I think I will do a video on what I end up deciding to grow specifically. I cannot wait. I am so over winter already. It is currently snowing outside. We're snowed in. It kind of, school's canceled for tomorrow, so we're gonna get nice and cozy and warm and just ride it out. So stay warm, and I will see you on the next one. Later. And blah, 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 blah. So close. So Google it. And maybe you could, oh my God, my spreadsheet's bringing all the plants to my